All right, let's jump right into it. There's this specific number that sits at the very beginning of pretty much every financial success story out there, and I guarantee it's probably not the number you're thinking of. We're not talking about the day you finally max out a retirement account, and we're definitely not talking about hitting your first 100 grand. Actually, it's just $1,000, right? It's a number so seemingly small that a lot of financial advice just skips right past it. But here's the honest truth. For most of us, scraping together that first small amount is literally the most important financial move we will ever make.
So let me just ask you this. Which do you think is harder to save? Your very first $1,000 or your next $100,000? Seriously, think about your own financial journey for a second here. If you've ever tried to build up a savings buffer only to watch it drain right back to zero, well, you probably think that bigger number is flat out impossible. But surprise, the answer is actually $1,000. Yep, that tiny number is without a doubt the absolute hardest financial milestone you're ever going to hit. And here is the real secret. It's got almost nothing to do with the math. And contrary to popular belief, it has zero to do with your willpower. See, most folks who struggle to save this amount aren't lacking discipline at all. They're just trying to do something genuinely tough using only willpower. And let me tell you, willpower is just the worst possible tool for this job. Because it fades, right? It fluctuates, and it totally abandons you the exact second an unexpected expense rears its ugly head.
So, let's look at Section 1, the psychological shift. This is all about how your mindset completely changes.
You see, getting to that first $1,000, it completely changes your relationship with money. Think about it. Before you have any savings, you're stuck in what we call survival mode. Every single dollar already has a job long before it even hits your checking account. Rent, groceries, gas, bills. Your brain isn't even thinking about long-term wealth or investing. It's just trying to make it to next Friday. But the second you cross that $1,000 threshold, you step into a growth mindset. You stop dreading every single day. That constant buzzing anxiety finally fades, and you stop making desperate decisions, and you can actually start making patient ones.
Now, to really get this, we need to talk about something called loss aversion. Basically, this is a psychological quirk where a financial setback feels absolutely catastrophic compared to gaining that exact same amount. When your savings balance is tiny, man, loss aversion just hits you so hard. A blown tire or a quick trip to urgent care doesn't just feel like a minor bump in the road. Emotionally, it feels like you're starting completely over from square one.
Just take a look at the math of small balances for a second. Let's say you've got $500 saved up, and boom, you get a $200 unexpected expense. That is a 40% hit to your total wealth. No wonder it feels catastrophic, right? It makes you just want to throw your hands up and quit. But if you have $10,000 sitting there, that exact same $200 expense, it's just a tiny 2% drop, barely a minor inconvenience. This brutal math of small balances is exactly why it feels so emotionally exhausting just to get started.
All right, moving on to Section 2, the safety net effect. This is where we break that frustrating cycle.
So according to the Federal Reserve, a whopping 40% of Americans couldn't cover a $400 unexpected expense without either borrowing money or selling something. I mean, really think about that for a second. For nearly half the country, a flat tire isn't an errand, it's a full-blown financial crisis. To me, this proves that struggling with money is so often a balance problem, not just an income problem.
And that brings us right to the emergency fund trap. You probably know this feeling all too well. You scrape together $500. You're feeling good, right? Then, bam, a minor emergency pops up. The money's gone and you're back to starting over. People end up recycling the exact same $500 for years. You're not actually saving at that point. You're just sitting in a financial waiting room.
But when you build a true $1,000 safety net, it completely changes the game. Look at what this actually absorbs for you. It covers those pesky minor car repairs, like needing new brakes or a battery. It handles those out-of-the-blue medical bills. And it cushions you against short-term dips in your income. But honestly, the real magic here is what it prevents. It keeps you from slapping a car repair onto a credit card charging 22% interest. It prevents you from taking out one of those awful payday loans. Basically, it stops the bleeding.
That brings us to Section 3, momentum over size. Let's talk about building those crucial habits. You might be wondering, why does the habit of reaching this initial goal matter so much more than the actual dollar amount itself? Well, it all comes down to decisions versus habits. Think about it. Saving $10 when your account is sitting at absolute zero requires a very active, honestly exhausting decision. You literally have to fight the urge to spend it. But saving $10 when you already have $990 saved, that's just a habit. It just runs automatically in the background of your life. That first $1,000 is built on really hard decisions, while the next $10,000 is built on super easy habits.
And this quote right here brilliantly illustrates that real shift. The $10,000 saver has demonstrated to themselves through repeated evidence that they are someone who saves money. Guys, this is a total identity shift. You finally stop thinking, oh, I'm just bad with money, and you start knowing, I am a saver. Because real, lasting confidence comes from hard evidence, not from listening to motivational speeches. If you're finding this valuable, please subscribe to Wealth Lab and share this explainer with your friends and family. It really helps us grow.
Okay, Section 4, Getting There Fast. Let's look at a practical roadmap.
So how do we actually cross this finish line, especially if you're working with a super tight budget? Well, there are 4 key friction-lowering steps that remove willpower from the equation entirely. Step 1, separate your bank accounts. 2, automate your transfers. 3, pay yourself first. And 4, use the 1% increment. Let's break these down real quick.
Now, step 1 is absolutely crucial. You have got to put your savings in a completely different bank than your everyday checking account. Because if they're at the same bank, transferring that money back to checking is practically instant. The temptation is just way too high. But if there are different banks, that transfer takes like 1 to 3 business days, and that built-in delay adds friction. It gives your brain just enough time to cool off, which totally kills those impulse buys. Next up, let's look at the math behind step 4, which is the 1% increment. Listen, if you try to suddenly save 20% of your income overnight, you are probably going to quit. It's just too hard. Instead, start with just 1%. If you're on a $50,000 salary, that's just $42 a month. Then in month 12, you bump it up to 4%. By month 24, you're effortlessly saving 8%, which is over $330 a month. You completely bypass your brain's natural resistance because it starts out so small, you literally don't even feel it.
So it all boils down to this one question. Are you ready to save the hardest $1,000 of your life? Because getting that first $1,000 is a foundation. It completely changes the physics of money. It rewires your brain, it removes that daily anxiety, and it sets you up for a lifetime of real financial growth. Everything you do after that first $1,000, it becomes a completely different and infinitely easier game.
Thank you for joining us today. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe to Wealth Lab. We'll see you in the next one.